Upset City here. I want to make a video going over some recruiting because I've been getting a lot of questions about it in my on Discord. I wanted to go over a video because it's really hard to answer specific questions through recruiting. It's hard to answer like, is this a good recruiting class? Is this a weak recruiting class? Should I go for this 5 star? Should I go for this 4 star? There's so much context in recruiting that to give black and white answers to very gray questions, it's just very difficult. And I wouldn't want to steer anyone the wrong way. So I figured I'd make a video instead to kind of outline how I approach recruiting. I've been doing this consistently at D1 since 2018, since I got back into the game. I've recruited in the University of Virginia, Hampton, in one of the toughest conferences, non-power conferences on the East Coast. I've recruited in Louisiana, and I won a title at LSU. I won a title at Colorado, as well as, again, this is my New Mexico team. So this is typically how I scout, right? I run a camp. I scout a lot of the area, both to not just see recruits, but also see what the other teams in my area are doing. I recruit internationally just because I can get an idea of if, I don't know, I'm just going to make up a team. Utah is scouting internationally. I want to know that. Like, that's good information for me to have. I did not normally scout Canada. I only scouted this because I was talking to the Hawaii coach about something a couple hours ago, and I wanted to make sure that I was able to help him and look over Canada. Anyway, you can attack this. I attack out here much differently than I attack over here, right? Like, so Virginia, Hampton, you're in a very dense area, so you kind of have to attack who you want to attack and kind of let your priorities be known pretty early. Whereas here, I kind of let recruiting come to me. Like, I was very open to letting recruits go and, taking who I wanted. I think I just played it from the early on. I picked the guys I wanted pretty well, so I didn't have to give. But I was willing to give up what I needed to give up in order to get the guys that I wanted. Just so everyone knows, before I go into the recruit pool, if this video bothers anyone in terms of like fair play guidelines or anything, I have no problem removing it. And but I already talked to the Hawaii coach. He's like the only one that would have had an issue with my recruiting style anyway, and he said go for it. So started at New Mexico about a month ago. The first RS2, I was just cutting fat. This season again was just all about cutting fat, right? Like I didn't even look at a game plan just because I was waiting for recruiting to come along. So I'm going to get into what I did for recruiting. Let me open up the page here, right? So I went through my recruit pool. Again, I scouted, I did a camp, I did my states around me, and then I did assistant search within, like, I think either 500 or 750 miles or something like that. I keep a little bit of scouting budget just in case I need to look for something. I was pretty selective. So imagine these red guys were not here. These guys were not here. I had no intention of getting a bunch of 5 stars, right? These guys came after, and I'll kind of explain that when I get to that recruit and why I did that. So my first guys that I was recruiting for were Clint Yoon, Michael Bogard, Lee Bean, and Charles Walton. And each one of them, I'm going to kind of give you a different understanding of what you should be looking for with that recruit, right? So I'll start with Charles Walton. This is a good D1 recruit, in my opinion. So I want you to understand what a D1 player is, like a mid D1 to high D1 player. This guy is going to be an athletic defender, right? I know that he's going to be undervalued by a lot of the community. He doesn't have great speed. He's a guard. He doesn't have great passing. Right now, he doesn't have great ball handling. But what do I know? I know that he has several greens. I know his ball handling will get to a decent level. My shooting guard doesn't need elite passing. I know he has green and 2 of the most important ratings to have green in low post and perimeter. Those are 2 of the most likely ratings that blow up, right? I see this 99 work ethic. Did I go for him for that reason? No, but when you see 12 low post and 20 green perimeter, you're going to want decent work ethic. I wouldn't take this guy if he was 30 work ethic. I wouldn't take him maybe if he was 40. 50, 60, 70 plus, heck yeah. He's got awesome stamina. I don't care about IQ. I never even looked at this. It just happens that he's running. I'm going to be running fast break zone. He kind of just happened to fit into that. What I am looking for is just a fit fast break. I did want a little bit more low post. I want guys who are going to draw fouls. So I have a potentially, let's say 81 to 85. Let's go on the low end of what he can get. 81 to 85 athleticism, okay speed, good defender, can score down low, can ball handle. He can do it all game, and he's going to be able to hit his free throws. That's a perfect player for me. And I know that I'm going to value him differently than a lot of the community. So I opened up. let's see, I put in 15 AP to start, right? So cycle one, put in 15 AP. I just want to get a feel for him. I see right away, I believe it was a bunch of D2s. So Carroll, yeah, so Eastern Central or whatever, Minnesota Duluth, Oklahoma Panhandle. I don't even know if TCU was on him early, but he's a D plus. I wasn't too worried. I knew I can kind of bully him off if I needed to. My ultimate goal was to not battle here, though. I wanted to just get this guy free. Memphis showed up after a couple cycles. They never really made any sort of there was never a sign that I had to be worried. It was never like he's offered a scholarship, or not, sorry, maybe he did offer a scholarship. After this scholarship, there was no sorts of promises or anything. He never got to low, so I wasn't really concerned. So what did I do? 15 AP cycle, one, right? I see that I need exactly 36 to unlock the guy. He probably needed 35 points. I probably went 36 just to be safe. I did the math. I know that I can unlock him. I offer the scholarship. I offer 25 more points, probably because I either saw Memphis had offered, or, this is cycle, now we're talking the next morning at cycle 3. I offer 25 more AP, and that probably allowed me to get that. The promise minutes, promise starts. I offer those. Now I know that if Memphis or TCU offer and get to low, they must have done something. They must have put in something, right? So look at this, though. After cycle 3, we're talking about the 16th at 5 in the morning. When's the next? On the 16th at night, I offered a little AP, a little bit more AP. I'm guessing that I just did that, I think, because I was just a little nervous about Memphis and I had maybe a little bit of spending to do. None of this money mattered. This money didn't matter. I didn't need to put this in at all. And I'm going to explain why. I had 2 guys that I fully maxed out financially. I had leftover money. I had a late target that I was looking for. I had money to blow because I knew that I was going to cut a bunch of talent to get more money in for the late cycle. So this money was just going to sit here anyway. So I just put this down. So I essentially got this guy, ignore the financials, for one campus. Probably, I guess you could say I didn't even need to do a campus visit. I got this guy for 150 AP. This is a wonderful start to a rebuild. I'm going to have a good defender. I'm going to have a potential scorer. I'm going to have a potential ball handler. I'm going to have somebody who can play the whole game. I'm going to have, just high work ethic, high potential. He's kind of like a lottery ticket, a safe lottery ticket, right? Like one of those scoring options is bound to be helpful, especially because low post, even if he just gets 28, that's 40 low post. That's pretty good for a guard. So I'm thrilled with Walton. I did spend money, like I said, but I think that I was just trying to push down. Was Green Bay involved in this? That's who it was. I apologize. Green Bay made an appearance late. So I was trying to push down here. I wanted to make sure I got minutes because Green Bay maybe appeared as well. And I wanted to make sure that I was like, hey, this guy's coming. I have the resources. Let me just put a little bit more towards Walton to be safe. This is somebody who, again, high potential. At first glance, this is not a D1 player, right? Like, he can't ball handle or pass. He's not very fast. He doesn't have great athletic, but he will get there by the end of his second season. Awesome rebuild player. So this is just to help you understand a guy that I was super excited about, and I knew that nobody else would value him, so I could put very little into him, right? So I was really happy with getting Walton as the first, target, and I didn't have to spend a whole lot. Again, only 150 AP. Yeah, 150 AP. That's nothing. So then let's go to the second guy, and I'm going to choose him, Michael Bogard. Okay, so we have a Hawaii kid. I don't know what to describe this strategy as, but it's not something I do a ton, so I'm sorry to the future Hawaii coaches. Again, I already reached out to Hawaii and was like, why did you not go for this guy? He ended up getting somebody a little bit better, and I don't doubt that, right? Like, this isn't a phenomenal talent. He barely even fits. He doesn't even really fit into my zone, but with that low rebounding, potentially low shot blocking, I don't even love him as a player, but if you look at what I spent, 35 AP. I just got a backup big who's potentially going to be he could be a fourth big off the bench. Or, I'm sorry, a fourth big total, second one off the bench, third one off the bench. He's going to be highly athletic. He's going to draw fouls. Is he going to make his free throws? Probably not. Is he going to turn over the ball a lot? Is he going to be the most efficient with these kind of ratings? Probably not. But I get somebody with 90 something athleticism, about 100 athleticism, almost into the 40s for speed. He's going to be a good defender, and he might be able to block shots. Like, he's going to be good enough for what I need. And again, it's all about the, min-maxing, I guess you want to say, where I spent 35 AP to get him. Look, first cycle I put in 15. Second cycle I put in 10. Hawaii was the only one on here. I was moderate at this point. Hawaii was low. I offered 10 more points knowing that's all I needed to get him. Sorry about the clicking, by the way. I know that I'm on my work computer and you can kind of hear that. 10 AP and you can get him. I offered. That immediately bumped Hawaii down the very low. I offered a start in 20 minutes. Typically, every recruit I'll offer 25. The only reason I did 20 was I kind of wanted to have a little bit weaker amount put into him so I can understand, is Hawaii going to make a push? Now, Hawaii was a C-. Hawaii had one scholarship. They did need a big, but they made no inkling early on that they wanted him. And I think that Hawaii should have pushed earlier if they wanted him. So I'm going, oh, Hawaii doesn't even want this guy. Score. I'll take the 35 into him. I'm not going to offer him a single thing else up until signings. If I get him, awesome. If Hawaii loses that on their recruit and Hawaii offers last second a start, 25 minutes and a ton of money, which Hawaii really shouldn't have because they have to. If I don't see where he's at, he's probably spending a boatload to go get somebody else. I'm at least going to get a roll. Fine. This guy, I spent 35 and I get a chance at getting this guy. I kind of played it as Hawaii's not interested, and it worked out in my favor. So I attacked really loosely, and I kind of just accepted my fate, right? My fate was in Hawaii's hands. I kind of it was an educated guess, but I guessed right. Now, like I said, this dude is not phenomenal. Like, he's not a ground, world beater with that rebounding and that block in my upcoming zone defense. But it was between Bogard and, let me see if I can find him, Corell. Outside of athleticism, Corell is a better player at literally every aspect of the game. I'm looking at that going, and I wrote in a group chat, dude, I screwed up. I think I should have went for Corell. Why did I leave Corell to go for somebody who I have very little interest in? I made the right decision. I spent 35 AP here. If I open up Corell, the reason I initially fell off of Corell is because I believe it was Oregon and Montana, or Oregon and Loyola, maybe, or Washington was there early. So Washington and maybe Oregon were there early. Okay, so now I'm going to have to deal with two other teams in a battle for somebody who, yes, he is substantially better, but I'm not maximizing my efforts. I have other AP that I can put elsewhere. If I'm now battling for Corell, and I'm battling for some other guys I'll go over in a second, I'm spreading myself too thin. This is how you start getting to all low rolls, and I probably would have lost a player outright if I had tried to go for Corell. So I made a sacrifice. It sucks that I got the worst of the two guys, but at least I got a guy, right? A guy who's, overall, he's not bad. He's just not ideal. So for those keeping track, I've spent, what is that, 186 AP between two recruits. So what, I'm averaging 90 AP on a recruit, and I signed two of them. I offer promises to everyone. I will make it work. I'll figure it out. I'd rather get the guy on campus and then figure it out later than not get the guy because I was scared of offering too much. So in the first, between when cycles start, when recruiting starts and signings, I had 5 scholarships I needed to fill. That's 1,560 total AP. 186 have been allocated towards elsewhere, like to other players. So I'm constantly looking at getting players or AP into Bean or Yoon or some of these other guys who I'll go over at the end of the video. So let's go over Yoon now. Speaking of who, Yoon had he's decent, right? Like, he's got decent ball handling skills, guard skills. Got good athleticism. He's not the best perimeter shooter, but he's fine. He's not the best defender, but he's fine. I'm kind of looking at him going, okay, he's a likely backup, or hopefully a backup long term. However, if I need him to start, he's not going to kill me. He's fine. I had very little competition early on. It was from a D. It was from TCU was on him early. There was a C on him early. I just don't know where. Green Bay was on him early. After a couple cycles, Baylor showed like fainted some interest, and I wasn't sure if that how that was going. Uh, North Texas was also a human coach before he left, as well as this was a different coach. So I don't mind speaking a little bit more on his strategy. I don't. I think he was just kind of out the door. So anyway, Baylor appeared after a couple cycles. I wasn't too worried because an A would kind of just make a splash, right? Like Baylor's not going to wait for me to show my hand. Baylor's going to take him, and then I have to kind of play around it. So if Baylor was really interested, Baylor would have made a push. So I kind of was just holding strong on him, but I wasn't over APing early on. I was kind of just doing a middling amount, 30-ish. I got the 15 in. I offered right away. He's somebody that I wanted to make sure everyone knew. Or no, I guess I didn't offer right away. I offered after 2 more cycles. And that allowed me to offer on other guys. So he's not somebody I want to psycho push for, but Baylor showed up, and Kansas then, after like 2 more cycles, showed up. I spent all of this on day 2. I said, you know what, Kansas needs to know that I'm in this. I'm not just going to let this guy walk. You're going to need to spend. And this, I'm sorry, Pyman I think was out the door. This is not an A plus caliber player. If he was free, maybe, but to roll on him, I feel like it's a little weird. Not like weird behavior, just like I wouldn't have done that. I think it's mostly he was just kind of out the door and just spending money. So I spent, and Kansas went to very low, and I was like, okay, well, clearly, Pyman's got it. He's not going to be making a push here. I'm fine. Pyman, who I think is like an all-time great, just said, F around and find out. So this is a whenever signing. I consider whenever signings as end of period 1. Like, they're just more likely to sign by end of period 1, so I'm a little bit more, I protect them a little bit more than most people. Not the first cycle, but I believe it was the second cycle. Let me see. After signings, he ended up making a push. I couldn't really defend all that well because my AP was elsewhere, but I tried to protect them best I could. I knew I was getting a roll. I ended up getting a 26-74 roll. Listen, I'm not going to say I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I thought Kansas was like, hey, this guy's not worth it. We're going to fall back. That's not what Kansas did. I completely misread the situation. I got lucky. I do not care. I got lucky. I will admit that. But I have to take these because there's also times that you'll get an A+ who's on his way out and psychos and you lose the recruit and you're like, oh, crap. Like, that's not fair. So I'm just going to I'll take the good with the bad. I'll accept that I got a little lucky here. I played it stupid, but overall, I don't think I would have played it stupid if Pyman wasn't leaving Kansas. Like, I feel like Pyman wouldn't have made that push if he wasn't just trying to sign somebody for the next coach. So psychologically, I felt like I read it right, but ultimately I was wrong. I don't know. Yoon's in a world beater, though. I noticed that these players kind of go undervalued a lot in this range where he doesn't have a lot of potential. So people are like, oh, what's that scene from Family Guy? Like, what's behind the door, too? It could even be a boat. Like, if you see guys like high, I mean, he's actually not that great, but you get what I'm saying. Like, all these high green guys, you look at them and you're like, oh, but what could they be? It's like, well, you're hopefully going to get this by the end of it. Like, maybe a little bit better than this, but this is ultimately about what you want. So I don't mind Yoon. Like, I think that he's a fine, again, is he a superstar defender? No, he's fine. Is he a guard who's going to, like, score a ton for me? No, he's fine. Is he going to, like, be a great distributor? No, he's fine. And that's okay. You don't need everyone to be a superstar. He'll be, in my mindset at this point, I was going, he's a starting he's either a starting point guard or a backup point guard. He fills a role just fine. Let me close out Bogard. Let me go to Bean now. Okay, so Bean was me trying to gauge. So I said I had a theme for each player. It's not really working out like that. I'm just kind of recording and talking. But Yoon, I was just trying to, Walton, I was trying to show you like what a D1 player looked like, right? Like, and how those low end guys can become mid to elite tier players. Bogard was risk management. I just said like, hey, if Hawaii wants him, Hawaii takes him. I'm going to accept that. I'm not going to put AP anywhere, and I'm going to put it into Bean and Yoon and a little bit into Sealy early on, but I'll get to that in a moment. For Yoon, it was understanding like psychology almost. Like, I was trying to read Kansas. It just I misread it entirely. It happens. Like it's part of the game. And then Bean is kind of understanding gauging. So let me show you what happened with Bean here. Okay, so Bean early on, it was me and UNLV right away. UNLV and I were the only ones interested. I think he feigned a little bit of interest, but he never got past like even low. I don't think. I don't even know if he made it to low. So he offered when UNLV and I were already gung ho at this guy. He is great defender, or great athletic, great speed. He fits zone so well that I wanted to make sure I got him with a high rebounding, high shot blocking. He's going to be good enough defending. He doesn't score great, but it's fine. Like, he's going to do exactly what I need him to do. He's going to fit a role very, very well. He's got high stamina. He's probably the center of the future. I want him. So I was a bit surprised that UNLV wanted him so bad as well, but also I can kind of see it even like in man and press. Like he's good with that speed, and he's good with that. He's got good enough defense. So if you remember how I was talking about gauging, like let me show you this here. All right, so first cycle 15. Okay, I need 41 to unlock him, and at this point UNLV was actually, I believe, moderate and I was low. So I want to make sure I got offer out right away. So I think he beat me to the offer. So he may have put in even more AP than I was expecting. I need to put my cards on the table and say, I'm interested. Are you interested? Like, we need to do, like, is this going to be a battle? We both get a promise start and minutes out. By the time that I offered this, I was knocked to moderate, which that can't just happen, right? Like, he can't just knock me to moderate. So I offer the campus visit, and that gets me to moderate. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I got knocked to low. So that campus visit got me to moderate. So I'm also reading off some notes I had that I kind of just was reflecting on. So I get to moderate. I go, okay, well, that's a little weird. Let me offer 10 home visits, because that should give me a little bit more understanding of where this guy's at. Like, did he full offer 20? Let me get a feel for it. I offer those 10, and I got to very high. Interesting. Okay. Let me spend 3 more home visits. Okay. I get to very high at this point. I spend 4 more home visits, and I stay very high, but I knock him down to high. Interesting. Okay, so now I know that he does not have 20 in there, because we are so early on still that it would be weird that if he had fully spent. Maybe he did. Maybe he was just putting in crazy AP or something. I don't know. Or wasn't putting in a ton of AP. I don't know. 4 home visits. Okay, I put in these 3. Again, he's still high, but I figure he's on the lower end of high. Okay, let me see if I can full knock him off, right? So I put in 75, 75, 80, 80, 80. This is around the time that Kansas showed their hand and Kansas started pushing, and I was like, all right, screw it. I need to get 50 and 60, because I also can't just let Yoon walk. I need to at least try and get a roll on Yoon. I felt like, okay, so I put 1,026 AP into the guy. I fully spent on him. I offered max promise, max starts, and I got UNLV to high, and I won this battle. Okay, again, super lucky. I'll take it. You're going to lose rolls. You're going to win rolls. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, man, I just got lucky. That's how this whole recruiting worked. I'll talk about that at the end. So I was using this all as gauging. Let me get a feel for where he's at. Don't fully just dump 20, because then you have no idea. You don't have enough information. Or if you're going to dump 20, give purpose to it. Is it because you're trying to throw your cards on the table? Is it because you are trying to psycho push? Like, what's going on here? Do you have a little bit of a reason, not just like, oh, now's the cycle that I put down 20 home visits. I was a bit surprised at first, because again, retrospective, I never even looked at the preferences. So I just was like, okay, I looked at my preferences. I was like, there's a chance that he only offered 20 minutes, because a lot of coaches get nervous with that. I'm probably better than him here, neutral here, and I'm good, and we both have this. So if anything, I'm thinking I have an advantage. It turns out he may have had the advantage here. So I played that stupidly, but I knew that with my prestige difference, that wasn't going to make the difference, and I was using other things to kind of gauge where we're at. Heads up, also, he was a C+. So a B versus C+. I was putting in a crap ton of AP. I liked how that was looking. So all of my guys are signed by 319. In the morning of 319, Yoon and Bean had just signed. So I'm sitting here going, sick, where do I go next? I have 40 AP. I reopen the recruit pool. I just start looking, right? Like, I'm just trying to get mental notes. I have it on So where you have recruit pool, I have it on any, and I'm just trying to see like what names am I seeing a lot. Well, I saw Zona, and I saw Zona, and I saw Zona was on Barrows, and I saw Zona was, what was he, low here or something like that. Lost internet. Sorry, I'm doing this from outside my normal work building, so I saw Zona had offered. Zona. I saw Zona in so many places that I'm going, okay, Sealy's not his top prospect. There's no way. But Zona's already spent everywhere, and Zona has no EEs. So Sealy, I early on got a feel for him. Let me see. Good. Early on, at least a day and a half or so before, I was like, hey, let me put in 40 AP. Around this time is when Yoon got pushed or something like that. So I was like, all right, hold off. Don't do that again. A night and a half later, I'm like, okay, I can now spend. I put down that 40 AP. I put down, I believe, another 40 AP. It was this cycle right here, I believe. Or, I'm sorry, no, it was here. I put in 40 AP, and I got moved to low. I haven't offered anything. I had nothing offered, no minutes, no money in here, and I get to low, where Zona is very high with a scholarship offer in there. Okay, so that's information, right? Like, that just told me Zona doesn't have a lot in this. So then next cycle, I put in another 40, and I get knocked back down to low, very low. So now I know Zona was aware that I got to low just on AP. So he knows that I know that he hasn't spent a whole lot, and he probably is looking at my team going, this guy's got a ton to cut. Like, Ali M is a very good coach. He's probably looking at that going, this guy's got a ton of money to spend. I need to make sure he is not interested. So I offer this start right here now, and I get back up to low. And that's how recruiting ended, like right here. I was at low, no offer, just a start. And I just used that start to gauge. But now from the opposite end, where I'm kind of gauging, what did the guy who's beating me have? To start recruiting of round 2, I offer minutes, campus visit, and 20 home visits. I cut all my team or as many guys as I needed to get that done, and I put in 80 AP the next 2 cycles, and I signed him. I did not sign him as the favorite. I am not saying that this is a good play by me, and it's going to look at like, well, yeah, if you just win your roles, like it's going to be a good class. I was looking at resources. A very common thing I feel like a lot of new coaches run into is they're like, well, you just can't beat that team. It's like, no, okay. Every coach has a finite amount of resources. You do not have unlimited resources. It may feel like it at times when you're going up against them, but they do not have they do not have an infinite amount of resources. So after I talked myself out of Sealy, I talked myself back into Sealy because he was late. He wasn't the best recruit that, let's see, he was not the best recruit that Arizona was on. I was like, and Zona had already recruited a couple of guys. I saw another battle coming for them, and I was like, I can get this. I know that I can get this. I almost wish that I had not been seen here. It wouldn't end at the end of the day. It wouldn't have made a huge difference because it did take him more than one cycle to sign in the second session. But I could have had a really good sneak here, and Zona would have had no idea. So again, I fall off of Sealy. I come back onto Sealy. I try and sneak a little bit. I get caught, but now yes, it sucks that I got caught, but now that gives me more encouragement of like, okay, this can actually happen. I can get this guy. I won the 45-55 underdog roll. Okay, I've gone through my horrible streaks of rolls. I'm acknowledging that I'm on kind of a heater right now. That doesn't mean that this is a bad class though, or like a great class only because of rolls. So I want to talk about that as well. I won 3 rolls. Who cares? I got lucky, right? Sure, I'll admit like I put myself in the position to get lucky. I sacrificed all here as a power play. I sacrificed all here as a psychological play, knowing nobody values this kind of player. They were all like calculated risks, except for, and all calculated risks I was right on, except for Yoon. I was dead wrong here. I should have lost the recruit, but I think that was a weird circumstance because the coach was leaving anyway, and I think he was just. There's no way for me to know that a coach is leaving. So, 8% chance. I did the math. There's an 8% chance that I sign all of Bean, Sealy, and Yoon. Very low odds, right? Like incredibly low odds. Sure, again, woohoo, got lucky, whatever. That doesn't matter to me. If I had signed, here's the key number. If I had signed Walton and Bogard, and then I had signed just one of these three, I'd be sitting here going, "That's a good class." Walton is a shooting guard of the future. Bogart is my backup, probably the center of the future. And if I signed Yoon, then I get my backup point guard of the future. If I signed Sealy, I get a star point guard of the future. If I signed Bean, I get my big man of the future. Like I had two good guys, and then someone to complement it. So I had an 87% chance that at least one of those guys fell into my lap. Yes, I got the 8%. I got all three, but that doesn't diminish that I put myself in those positions uh, for me to have that kind of success, right? So I'll just go through my all contacted right now. And you'll see, I don't really deviate a whole lot. Simpkins was let me put on ratings. I'll start from the top. Barrows, I only put on AP after I signed all 5 of my guys. Do not even look at Barrows. Imagine I didn't even put AP on him. I was just going to throw something out there, and he signed before I even could. Yosef was an awesome big, and it just turned into a battle. And I was like, okay, I think it turned into a battle, or at least it turned into people spending internationally. And I was like, I have too many other, yeah. Oh, Enzona, look at that. Ali M's a great coach. He's not going to, if you're not going to beat him that kind of way. I just got lucky, I feel like, in that regard. Yosef, again, international big. I wasn't looking to spend. It looked like Zona wasn't either. And honestly, he probably got the low just by offering a scholarship and playing time. Wilbur Simpkins, I mean, I had no intention of signing this guy. I put 4 AP into Wilbur Simpkins. I was just curious. Like, if I can get him and then I can start him his first year for free, because nobody was on him for the first cycle or two. If I got him for free, started him, and then redshirted him his second year, it's worth it. Maybe I get him the 15, work ethic or something, maybe 10, 15. He may be worth it. But as soon as I saw Texas Tech was on him, or whoever it was at the time, I was like, nope, I'm not battling for somebody with six work ethic. The only way he becomes valuable for me is with a red shirt. Corell, I already talked about. He turned into a 4-way battle. I was looking at the time to make it into a 3-way battle. Not worth it for me. Lawrence Whitman. I don't even remember this guy, but let me see. Okay, so it turned into a battle in Texas, and I put in 15 AP the first cycle and immediately went, nope, Texas and Texas A&M are on him. I'm out. Calendar, Yetter, I only went in just because he was high athleticism, high defense, and I was kind of curious if he'd be good in my sets. I don't think he would have been, so I'm kind of glad I fell off of him. Daniel Johnson, I didn't like his athleticism, and again, he already has a big D1 team on him. And then I'm not sure what happened to Calendar. I was on and off Calendar. Is he the guy with the stamina issue? No, Calendar was actually interesting. But again, he turned into a battle early on, and I just didn't feel like getting into another battle. So, I allowed for myself to take risks by taking risks and calculated risks and educated risks. And is this the best class of all time? No, I'm not saying that. But a lot of coaches have a misconception that you can't win with like a B or like my Colorado title was with a B. I think my LSU was with a B plus, maybe A minus for class. You only get to those kind of classes or that kind of prestige by having these kind of classes, these foundational classes to build up your team. So I don't know. Hopefully this helps. Shoot me any questions about this video. I don't mind answering anything about my thought process. I kind of rushed this video as well. I just didn't want the cycle to, recruiting ends today, and I didn't want all the screens to get wiped, and I didn't want to take a billion screenshots. So, I don't know if this helps. Let me know if you guys want to see any more of this, or if you have any questions. Later.